Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Just Two Brothers podcast, where we will be sharing our journey so far and some of the simple tactics we've learned that have helped us become great leaders.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Just Two Brothers podcast. This week, Ryan and I sit down to discuss being in over your head. Our discussion covers topics such as what to do if you need help as a leader, what to do if your leader needs help, and maybe some of the warning signs and what to do if you find yourself in over your head. And as always, we throw our own stories and experiences in the mix as well. We want to take some time to thank those of you who have been listening and following our journey. We've enjoyed putting out this podcast so far, and we hope to continue doing this far into the future. If you haven't already, we would appreciate it if you'd subscribe to our Instagram and other social media pages. We'd like to set a goal of 100 followers on Instagram, and we will do a live Q&A session when we accomplish that goal. If you haven't already, follow us at Just Two Brothers Podcast. And in the meantime, we hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the J2B podcast. We're here today to talk about what to do if you yourself as a leader get in over your head, or if you have to deal with a leader who is in over their head, and how you should handle that. We'll apologize right off the bat. We are kind of recording during a thunderstorm. It's raining pretty good, so if you do pick up some thunder and lightning, we apologize, but we can't really help it. So
Just our soothing background music.
some nice white noise in the background if you pay close attention. But anyways, let's get back to the topic at hand. So have you ever had a leader who thought they were better than they were? Or have you ever had a leader who always maybe seemed flustered or out of sorts? More than likely they were in over their head. You can kind of pick up on somebody who may be in over their head. And I've been in over my head before. I don't know if you have. But there's a feeling, at least that I get, when I start to recognize, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing.
I have that happen a lot. There's a lot of times where I'm in over my head, not in a leadership sense, but just I don't know what I'm doing, and I just kind of have to figure it out, but I use all the resources that I have and remain calm.
Yep, that's a good point. Ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. It's not weakness to ask for help.
Right.
It can sometimes be a sign of strength to ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could be a learning opportunity for everybody involved.
Right.
Because if you ask somebody that should be able to help you or may be able to help you and they can't, then it's an opportunity for both of you to learn, or one of you to learn the solution when you work through it, and then you can share that knowledge with everybody. But you don't know what other people don't know or do know unless you ask for help.
Right. In the actual act of doing something and not knowing what to do, it's a little bit different from being in a leadership role and not knowing what to do, because typically with leadership, it's more people-based. So it's handling people or situations, or kind of managing time and schedules and stuff like that. And if somebody isn't skilled in different aspects, it can be stressful.
Yeah.
And those so that stress has a feeling. I can feel that stress in the leadership sense. It's different. You probably just don't have that type of a feeling of, because when you're a leader, people are looking to you for the answer.
Right.
You're supposed to have the answer. And when you don't, what do?
I will usually admit that I don't know the answer, but I'm going to find out the answer and find a solution as soon as possible.
And I would say that is the correct response. That is exactly what I would do as well. I'm not sure what that answer is, but I will go get it for you and I'll be right back.
Right.
I've used that same tactic in leadership, in sales, in everything I've ever done. Because the last thing I want to do is be a bullshitter.
Right.
I want to be able to back up what I'm saying.
People can see right through. I can see right through a bullshit.
Some people can. You can bullshit some people.
Yes.
And look at the world today.
We're being bullshitted every single day by people that aren't good at it.
And so some people can be bullshitted, but then others can't be. And others go out of their way to try to trip you up and see how you handle it.
Yeah.
And if you handle it properly, that's a sale you're going to make, or that's a relationship you're going to gain or build, or whatever it might be. A team member is going to look at you more respectfully now because of how you handle the situation, if you handle it properly.
Yeah.
And again, you might be able to bullshit some of it, but then there's one or two people, if they catch you, it's game over. That will destroy your reputation.
Oh, yeah, easily. Because, like I said, I can see what I know right away if somebody's telling me something. I can usually tell by if they over-exaggerate something that it has nothing to do with it, or they over-qualify themselves while they're explaining it. Usually I can call bullshit on whatever
Stuttering
they're saying.
gives it away.
Clear lack of confidence in what they're saying.
They won't make eye contact. They'll look away. They'll try to hurry up through the answer.
Or give the answer, but trail off in sort of a question.
Yes. Oh, that is another one I was going to say.
And look at you for validation to see if you caught on and agreed before they
Right.
continue.
Another thing I notice with somebody who's out of their element and isn't sure what to do, they'll answer a question with a question to flip it back on you. Well, what would you do? Or various other ways. But because they're not sure what to do, they try to wash their hands of it completely.
Yeah. How often might a "what would you do" just be a tactic just to get another opinion? What's your opinion on how to handle this?
It's going to depend on your leader. And I would say for a leader to ask that type of a question and it be more of a trying to prompt that team member to respond and get them engaged, they have to know who they're dealing with. They need to understand the process. And so if a leader is doing that, they're going to be asking follow-up questions. It's not just going to be left alone with that. There will be more questioning to further prompt that team member to get them to engage like they want them to.
Okay.
At least that's how I would handle it, because I will use that exact same tactic with people when I want them, when I want to empower them to respond and interact and no, I want to hear what you have to say. You're the one that has to do this.
How are you going to handle it so I know if you're going to handle it properly or if I need to cover this again or
it could be
explain it a little bit better
something that you're trying to push that team member a little bit more.
Yeah.
You want them to get a little bit more experience and push them out of their comfort zone. So you're going to spin their question back on them because we're trying to cultivate the culture of come to me with solutions, not problems.
Yes.
There will be times where you have to bring problems, but we want more solutions. Don't just come bitching at me. I can't fix every problem. I don't have all the answers. Yes, I'm your leader, but I'm not God. I don't know everything. You do this. Like, what do you think? So you can, and that's also pushing your team, empowering your team, trying to get them to be able to run efficiently without you, as that is your goal. So you can spin it back on them to get them engaged.
Right.
But like I said, that would be met with follow-up questions because they're going to look at you like, quizzically, like, what do you mean? And then you can further push them. Somebody who's out of their element won't do that because they don't know. So that's the difference there.
Okay.
So you've mentioned how you've been out of your element or not been sure what to do. Does that have a feeling, or do you just recognize the situation for what it is and, okay, I need to go get help? Because like I said, because in the leadership situation, you have people looking to you for that answer. I get anxious. That pit in your stomach, that ball that starts to tighten, I can feel that. I feel that when I start to get caught off guard or doing something I'm unsure of and being pushed to a place I'm uncomfortable. I can feel that anxiety start to build inside of me, and then I go, okay, I've got to figure something out here. That's how I first recognize it. And then the further you push it, the more that stress builds. And you can feel that stress every day of, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And just getting further and further into that hole.
Yeah, and I guess it's just the same feeling as when I know pressure's on me. Not that even that I'm in over my head, but I know everybody's relying on me and waiting on me. It's just that, yeah, that gut feeling of anxiety, but that's when I'm usually okay. I work well in that, with that gut feeling. When I have that anxiety, that stress, that pressure on me, that's when I work the best. That's when I'm calm and I can make the best decisions. I mean, if pressure's on me and I'm in over my head, I'm not afraid to ask for help. Say, look, this isn't going to happen unless I get this, and this. I need help with this, or here's where I'm going to be with it. There's plenty of times where I'll just do whatever it takes to get the job done, regardless. And you could be in over your head and just be given a shit timeline. And then you either have to have the support to do it, or if it's all on you and you're the only one that can do it, you have to do what it takes. But
so that's different.
Yeah,
that's a different perspective of in over your head. That's having too much workload for the time allowed. What about experience-wise? You've maybe haven't done something before and you get to it. Or if you get to a...
Yeah, it happens all the time, but I ask for help. I don't outright just admit that I don't know how to do something without putting effort into trying to figure it out. I will exhaust all resources that I have at my fingertips. So a quick Google search, scroll through, find out whatever information I can. If I don't know how to handle a situation, it's bounce an idea off of somebody else that I know. But I use the resources that I have at hand. I don't feel like I have... If I don't know how to do something or I'm in over my head, yeah, I will just reach out for help.
Yeah, and it's
easy for
that
me
makes
to do.
sense. Well, and that's how it should be. I mean, in all actuality, that's essentially what we're talking about, is the ability to ask for help. In all of this, you need to be able to ask for help. Somebody reach out and say, hey, I need help here. The difference, I guess, is when you are performing a task on your own, whatever it might be, it's just a different situation than when you're in the leadership role.
Yeah.
And when you have people looking at you and come and ask you a question, or you have people arguing or people not listening, whatever it might be, if it's something you haven't dealt with before, you go, holy sh! Okay, I got to figure out what I'm going to do here.
Yeah.
You got grown ass children running around, and now you have to figure out how to control them, or whatever it might be. So that type of situation is different from performing a duty
Yeah. Absolutely.
and not knowing what to do. But the solution
Is the same.
Correct.
Just don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, like we keep mentioning, it's a repeated theme. You have to put your ego aside.
Mm-hmm.
That is what gets in the way of leaders who are in over their head, or anybody who gets in over their head and drowns. Their ego is more powerful than their will.
They're worried about, protecting their ego, protecting their image with other people when your image is really only going to be helped when you ask for help and admit,
And fix it.
Hey, I don't know how to
'Cause
do
it's-
this, but can you help me?
It's going to be shit if it continues on the way it is.
Right.
You're drowning.
Yeah.
It's falling apart in front of you. Like, you have to do something to save it. And the more you just thrash around, it's like quicksand. The quicker it pulls you in, especially if you don't know what you're doing. You can keep throwing darts at the wall, hoping something's going to stick, but chances are it won't. You're
Right. Unless
better
you
off.
stumble across a solution, which
Right.
sometimes happens, but
Right.
how much time did you waste? How
and
efficient
how
and
many
effective was
people have you lost? Like, when you're a leader, now
Right.
you might be losing people. So how many chances is your team going to give you before they give you the middle finger?
because they realize this guy has no clue what the fuck
Exactly.
he's doing.
Exactly.
I want nothing to do with being led by him.
Before this place sinks, I need to go save myself.
Yeah. I've seen that plenty of times.
You start losing the good people first. That's the scariest thing, because they're smart enough to recognize it and go, okay, this isn't changing, this isn't getting better, we got to get out.
Yeah.
So
Long
you
term
lose the
it
first,
doesn't look good
you
for
lose
me.
the best ones first.
Now, how to handle a leader that doesn't, or that is in over their head. Curious to hear what you have to say about it, because I've dealt with that and I see it all the time with all the factories that I go into to do installs and everything like that. I can tell who's been around, who knows what they're doing, who's calm about their job, and who's freaking out because they don't understand the process or how it's all done.
And we've mentioned it quite a few times, how understanding the process can help as a leader. And it's amazing just how many problems that alone can solve. Just by learning the process of whatever it is you're leading over, how many questions that can take away. It gives you so much information. You learn the people and you learn the process by paying attention to that.
Yeah, and no matter how much experience you have outside of wherever you're at, don't take that experience and say, I know how to do this. I don't need to learn anything else.
Right.
Just admit that you don't know or start from scratch.
Right.
Be willing to say, I don't know anything about this now. I have some experience, but it might not apply. So show me how this works and understand it from the get-go with that.
Right. Yeah. Try to go into it with a blank mind and then, pull your experience in later, but
Right.
learn the process from how they're doing it now. That's going to give you the greatest understanding. And then you can start to
Apply
interject
your
your experience later
Yep.
and improve it where you see fit. But learn it their way first.
Yeah.
And that's going to help with all kinds of things as a leader. Just in the knowledge that it gives you by learning that process.
So how would you handle a leader that, or how have you handled a leader that you can tell is in over their head?
typically I just resort to providing as much help as possible. Granted, that is different, say now, than it would have been 10 years ago because my knowledge base is greater.
Do you ask how you can help them, or do you just observe them and help in ways that it seems like you might be able to help them?
Both.
I guess try to work in the shadows and take care of things without them
And then there's
noticing.
other ways you can, if you see something, you can, hey, what about this? And try to just throw it in an off the cuff,
Yeah.
not attacking way.
Yeah, just a different perspective, a different way to look at
Yeah,
the
like,
situation.
hey, have you ever thought about this? Not trying to push it, just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who is unsure of their position may just take something like that and implement it and not say anything. People like that tend to like stealing ideas. And if you can let go of, again, your ego and not care and just know that you're improving the process, don't worry about where credit goes.
Right.
Just throw it out there. And yes, somebody like that will just take it, but hope that
It's going to
they're
burn them in
learning.
the end.
Exactly. If they're
It
not
always
truly
does.
learning, it's going to burn them. Exactly, like you said. If they're, and if they are learning from what you're telling them, even if they are just copying, pasting, they're at least learning. So they will get better.
Right. You're still making an
Exactly.
improvement in the long run. You're just not
Exactly,
getting the
which is
credit
exactly
that you want
what
from
you
it.
want
And you
to be
shouldn't
doing.
you shouldn't do anything with the intention of wanting credit for it anyways. I get everybody wants credit for whatever, but
That's your ego.
Yeah.
Like we keep talking, you have to squash your ego.
Mhm.
It comes in handy at certain points in time, but for the most part, it causes you problems.
work for the good of the team or the overall goal of whatever you're working towards as opposed to individual credit.
So that's one way I would deal with somebody who I see is in over their head. Another thing you can do is just try to talk to them. Hey, I've done something like this before. I can help you if you ever have any questions or need any help. Feel free to come see me. You can watch for certain situations to provide feedback. Don't do it right in front of everybody. Try to do it off to the side. Again, I would follow that with, hey, I have some experience doing some of this kind of stuff. I don't know if you knew that or not. I don't know if you've seen my resume. Whatever kind of conversation it needs to take place, have that with your superior. Maybe they won't agree with it and won't like it. In that case, you know where you stand and you let them continue to make their bed. If they're
I was gonna say,
responsive to it,
have you ever had anybody take that offer for help the wrong way?
oh yeah, their ego takes over and they, you just want my job. Okay, I'll show you who's boss, and they get mad and try to make your life hell. Yeah.
What do
And-
you do in that situation? If they blow up, you just walk away? Okay, I was just trying to help.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just apologize. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anybody. I
Right.
was just trying to help, but
Trying.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've seen, like I said, I've gone into a bunch of different factories doing work, doing installs and stuff like that. I've seen customers of ours in the past. You can tell that they're inexperienced, they don't know the process. And the biggest thing that, same with conflict resolution and everything, it's a conflict at that point when they get flustered and everything like that.
Right.
You have a conflict at hand, you have to resolve it, and biggest thing I do is just calm them down.
Try to,
Whatever I
yes.
can do to mitigate the situation and cool their jets a little bit, get them to take a deep breath and like, hey, we'll get through it. I understand the urgency of this. I understand where we're at, but what can I do to help? What can we do to knock all this worry off your plate so you have nothing, it's less of an issue.
Right.
Usually it's scheduling timelines and stuff like that with where there's lack of communication and everything like that, or just not willing to admit, I don't understand how this works. And you can see it.
Right.
And if people aren't willing to admit, I don't know how this works, sometimes you just got to sit back and wait for them to make the wrong decision and the wrong decision and the wrong decision. And finally, you want me to fix this? And then handle it.
Yeah.
Then tell them, this is what I had to do. This is how I had to do it. This is why we do it this way. And move on.
Right.
Usually everything's fine. But yeah, I've dealt with that quite a bit. And you can tell when they have no clue. But
yeah, so if you do offer help and to somebody like that and they're not receptive, yeah, like you said, mitigate the conflict, get out of there. If that's your supervisor, your leader, see how the next couple of days go. Hopefully there's no retaliation and you can just get back to business as usual, and you know better for future to, well, I'm just going to let them sink. Keep an eye on your situation. Make sure nothing gets worse.
mm-hmm.
You more than likely will want to get out of whatever area that is because that's not a good leader. They're not going to change.
And if anything, they might just have a personal vendetta against you now because...
Even if they don't, you know they're not a good leader and things are going to start falling apart. So start trying to do what you can to get out of there. But all you can do is try. You can offer it. Hey, if you want it, I'm here. If not, okay, I'll keep my mouth shut. Have you had leaders that maybe didn't quite know what they were doing, and how have you handled it? I feel like you've had quite a few different leaders at different places.
Yeah, in the younger years, a lot of the younger guys, like in the Marine Corps and everything like that, it was all younger guys, early 20s, are super ego driven, and they're really hard to get through. It's pretty much you got to let them learn the hard way. Otherwise,
yeah, with the Marines, like we had talked about in past episodes, they're young punk kids, don't want to listen to anybody.
just full of piss and vinegar, and they're out trying to prove themselves to every other guy that is in the same exact shoes
ego
as they are. It is all ego driven. All of it is ego driven. And I mean, that's how you get great fighting force, but at the same time, it's damn hard to find good leaders and find people that are willing to admit mistakes and willing to be vulnerable and say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
That I do find that interesting about Jocko Willink and his whole extreme ownership. I haven't read his book yet, so I don't know exactly what it's all about. But listening to him talk, the type of leader he is surprises me coming out of the military.
Not everybody starts out that way. It's all you find.
That is
just
true.
Just like you've done. You've had leaders that you've
pieced
learned
together.
good things from and bad things from.
Right.
You found what works and what doesn't work, and when you've been in doing the exact same job for 20 years, I mean, you're put in a leadership role. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, you can be in a leadership role in the first year and a half of being in your unit, out of boot camp and out of your schooling.
And that could be 18 years old, or that could be 30 years old.
Exactly.
I mean, and who knows what kind of life experience. So yeah, I do.
So you could have no life experience,
with you
no
there.
management experience, no time with any sort of leadership other than you're living with your parents and going to school, playing sports or whatever. But that's your base level of, this is what I know for leadership. In the first 6 to 8 months or whatever, you're getting screamed at every day. So all the leaders you see are teachers, instructors that are screaming at you, or a bunch of ego-driven kids that are trying to prove themselves to be better than the rest of you.
Right.
So they're not out to they're out to win as a team, but they still got to be number one. So it's hard to find good leaders at the younger levels. Once you've been in for 6, 8, 10 years, that's when the ones that stick around, they're the ones worth keeping most of the time.
Okay.
Because they're good leaders, they're good shit, they're on top of their stuff, they know what they're doing. And that's when you start learning, oh hey, this doesn't work. Oh hey, I shouldn't do that because this guy's finally saying, hey, come over here, let's talk about what you just did, how you handled that situation, and how we can maybe keep that from happening again. And those talks didn't start happening until I was 4 or 5 years in. So
I wonder why that is.
it's all in who you hang out with and who you're around, and where
Wait,
you're at in
Do they wait to see
in
who
the
they're going to...
hierarchy. I mean, there's a bunch of fuck ups that...
That's what I was just going to ask. Do they wait to see, like you said, who's going to stick around, who's worth putting extra time into,
Yeah.
because there's so many that just aren't?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people that just want to show up and do the bare minimum. There's not a lot that... I mean, you still want to be the best, but there's still plenty of them that are good with just getting through, getting by, and they don't care. Once they got the title or got through boot camp and everything,
So
they
it's
don't
no
give a fuck.
different than anything in life. You have your different levels of people everywhere you go.
Yeah.
People who are content with just... They want to stand on the line all day long and punch parts out of them,
Yeah.
press and stack them, and
You're
go
not
home.
going to get above average from them, but you're going to get, you know what you're going to get from
Right.
them. You know what to expect.
Right. That's just
But-
what they enjoy.
I mean, there's been plenty of times where, even where I'm at now, if I see somebody stressed out, have too much going on, or they don't know how to handle a situation, I just talk. Just be open. I mean, I have plenty of conversations with management of how would you handle this situation, or this is the situation going on, what do you think? And now it's just give an opinion. I offer advice when I can give it and recognize where I can help. Try to help in ways where people don't need to know, just because if I can take a load off my management shoulders just by handling something or answering a question without somebody else having to bother them or take up their time when they got other shit going on. I mean, that's what working together as a team is all about too.
Exactly.
It's not just leave it on the manager to figure it out. We got to work together and get the job done.
Yep.
So, yeah, and when you've been around people for an extended period of time, I've worked at where I'm at right now for over 9 years now. So all the people that have been there that whole time, I know how people react to certain things. I know how to talk to certain people. I know who needs to hear what, and I can tell how people tell how people are feeling and how much stress they're under based on their outside emotions. I can read people pretty well.
Right.
So it helps, and I can just usually mitigate the
body language
situation.
I'm pretty good at reading body language too.
I see, like, you seem frustrated. Is there something I can do to help? What's going on? Or just sometimes I just need to talk and vent about something.
Yeah, I like just looking at everything. All right, nothing I can do. All right.
Yep.
Because it sounds nonchalant, and you're just asking them how they're doing. But
Yeah, you don't have to go out right and say, "Hey, can I help you with this situation?"
Yeah.
Don't put it out there like you're trying to take something off of their plate or help them with anything or be demeaning in any way. But yeah, hey, what's going on? You all right? Everything all right?
Yep.
Anything I can help with? And you need to talk about anything? They might bounce the situation off you, whether it's all the details or not. And yeah, we're all there to figure it out.
Yeah, as far as how I would handle a leader of mine being in over their head with what they're doing, what they're leading. A lot like you said. Assist where you can. Sometimes it may not even be seen by anybody. You're just answering questions or helping so-and-so get whatever it might be. Or I can't even think of the number of different situations there are to help out a leader, but try to get them to see that they need help, or get them to see it's okay to ask for help.
Which I think is why offering help takes that burden off of them.
Yes, and again, it's all in how you offer that
Yes,
help.
because as long as you do it
Don't be
tactfully,
demeaning, like you mentioned. Do not be demeaning about it. Their ego is going to kick in. They will get defensive, and the end of the
don't
story.
offer help in a way that it makes them feel like you're questioning their capabilities.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
the easiest way to sum that up.
Yep.
Because as long as you don't make them feel like you're doubting them, as long as you don't show doubt in them, they'll be fine most of the time. As long as you feel like, hey, I know you got this, I know you know what you're doing, but what can I help with to help
Right.
with whatever.
Right.
That's what I found to be the best way to do it.
Yep.
But
You can attempt to escalate the situation to their superior. I mean, you're on the floor every day dealing with whatever situations might be out there. You see it firsthand. A lot of times, people in charge of them don't necessarily see that. They only get snapshots as they walk by, quick chit chat, a meeting, whatever they step into, step out of, a 10-minute, 5-minute quick touch base, whatever it might be. That's the only interaction they get with those people. Otherwise, they get feedback from the people around that leader. So you can try to escalate, but be tactful about it. Be smart about it. Don't just go throwing them under the bus and talking shit.
right.
Be very careful about how you do it. Again, try to approach it in a way that you are providing advice, or again, like hey, so I noticed you're softening the situation. But sometimes you do have to escalate just to let people know that, hey, you might need to keep an eye on the situation. People are starting to get frustrated, because if you have a leader that doesn't know what they're doing, people will be frustrated.
Right. And their leaders may very well be aware of the situation or feel the same way, but have just be relying on blind confidence because there's no questions being asked, because they're not asking for help, and say, well, I guess they must have it because they seem fine.
Right.
So if somebody steps up and like, hey, I don't think this is going well, and it's just validating their concerns already.
Right.
Like, okay, now we do have to look into something because he's not going to ask for help,
Yep.
or she's not going to ask for help.
Right. Well, and then they can go and reach out and, hey, is there anything we can do to help? We've noticed this, or this, whatever it might be. They can approach it in an entirely different situation.
The only downside to going above them is it can possibly backfire on you.
That's why I said be tactful about it. Be careful
Even
about
if you're
how you do
tactful
it.
about it, if it comes back
Yep.
to them that you went above them, it can still burn you. So that's you have to be careful with it.
You have to be able to escalate, though, and if
Oh, absolutely.
hopefully the company you work for will handle something like that, there should be no retaliation,
And
no matter what.
recognizes that if there is retaliation, it's due to unjust circumstances.
Right.
Because of
They should handle that, so hopefully you don't have to deal with it. But yes, that's why you need to be careful.
Yeah.
Just you don't want to have to deal with it if you don't have to. It's not worth it. How do you think leaders get into the positions to where they're don't quite know what they're doing? How do you think a leader gets into that leader role if they're not quite ready for it?
A lot of times they're really good bullshitters.
That's what I was going to say too. They interview very well. They fall flat once they perform.
Yeah.
They can talk. They have charisma. They can put on a show in an interview.
It's real easy to sell yourself big and then be able to talk a big game and then show up and have nothing to show for it. But
I've also seen people just reach certain heights and that is their ceiling.
yes,
They can't go any higher. A team lead may just be a team lead. They don't have the capability to go any higher. But they've performed well as a team lead. They've been team lead or whatever position for so long. Their next step is naturally that next leader position. So, because of seniority or whatever it might be, they're next in line and they get given that position. That's another way people end up.
yes, but you cannot learn anything unless you're doing it.
Correct.
So unless you're put in some situations,
Exactly.
you have to be put in over your head, thrown to the wolves,
and yes.
and figure it out. Sink or swim, you have to figure this out because
But
that's
both company and person need to have that understanding that this is, I mean, not necessarily going to be trial at the beginning, but people should be watching just like any new employee. Keep an eye on them, see how they're doing. If they start to falter, those conversations need to be had to try to help them, coach them through it,
right.
bring them up. If they're just not getting it, then yes, that needs to be, hey, this isn't working. You were a great team lead. We want you as a team lead.
Yeah.
But this spot isn't working for you.
Right.
People do have their ceilings. And that's
Absolutely.
okay. And yes, to your point.
But they'll never
they-
find out unless
I was just going to say
they're
they
put-
have to go to that next step, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. So you have to get forged in fire. You have to do it.
But that's also why I mentioned it has to be okay to escalate too.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's not paying attention to that situation, that person gets in over their head, doesn't know what they're doing. If nobody's watching,
It's an inexperienced
they're
leader
going to
who's
crash.
not asking
and
for help.
then if they do crash, now they get fired. Now you lost a good team lead, and you don't have a leader anymore.
Right.
So if you can monitor the situation and salvage it, put them back to where they're best suited,
Right.
and then you only have to replace the one leader you already had to.
Yeah. Or back in their comfort zone at least where they're
Right.
they're happy with
Right.
this is where I want to be.
And again, that's not a failure.
No.
It was just a learning experience.
Everybody's good at something. You just have to find out
Right.
what it is.
Right.
And some people are going to keep and if you can't do it, or if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But there's a lot of things you have to do. You can't learn to drive a parked car.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Any other ways people get to their positions?
I think it's just the opportunities given to you, or you're a good bullshitter.
Yeah.
I've
I think
done
that
both.
pretty much covers it. What's the difference, though? When you bullshitted, did you fail or did you succeed?
I don't usually take failure as an option.
That's
So I'll
kind of what I was
bullshit my
getting
way
at.
into any situation, but I'm not gonna promise something that I'm not. I'll be damned if I don't deliver on what I promise.
Right.
So I
That's
guess
where your
is it
determination-
bullshitting or not?
You may not fake it till you make it.
So I don't.
My old partner, we were trying to land a job. We had a customer coming in to look at our shop. And we had a nice shop. We had a big shop.
Yeah.
A lot of nice equipment, couple CNCs, edge banders, panel saws, benches, the works. It was decked out. It looked like it was 8-10 person shop. It was me and my partner. And I think one or two other people maybe here and there, and a couple part-time people here and there. That's who our shop was. So one day, I think I had you, a couple other brothers, a couple buddies, take some time off work or just have some extra time. Come on into the shop for a couple of hours. We got a couple of things. We just need you guys to stand around. We'll pay you some cash. Stand around here, do these couple of things, make it look like we have a whole bunch of people in our shop. So we go land this job. Fake it till you make it. Made it look like we had 8 guys working for us, and we were kicking out all this work. Everybody's busy, showed them all this stuff we were doing, walked them around. Yeah, landed the job. That allowed us to be able to hire people we needed. Fake it till you make it. Sometimes you have to. Yes, you're still bullshitting, but you have the determination, the drive, the intelligence to follow through, to learn and get whatever it is done.
Right.
That's the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
This episode of the Just Two Brothers podcast has been brought to you by us. All we ask of you is to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow us on social media. We are J2B Podcast. We had the continuous improvement program. We ran at the last place I was at. We had yearly progress reports that were done. And we're never as good as we were supposed to be. You set your goal or whatever for the year, and you have to try to hit that. And then each plant got graded based on how well they did to their projections and all this bullshit. So every single year, the last 2-3 weeks before this fucking audit, it was constant emails and bullshit and meetings to get everybody up to speed and get all this paperwork turned in because we needed documentation of shit, and just a complete fucking joke to make it look like we've got all this stuff done and we've done all this stuff and we've learned all this stuff and look how good we are. And then a week later, all of it would fall apart. And they're asking questions during, like, we have meetings leading up to this stupid audit, reminding us of all these different answers and everything. So we answer the questions properly and don't get knocked down. And it, like, why? It's not. In a customer situation, it can be a little bit different.
Right.
In this type of a situation,
It's an internal thing.
Yeah, like, I get having to maintain certain things for corporate, but you're doing yourself a disservice by doing that.
Yeah.
Take the hit.
Right.
Use that as motivation to push yourself that much harder. Don't bullshit it, because then everybody thinks you're a joke.
It's egos.
Oh, I know.
Even in the corporate world too. It's all driven by numbers.
Absolutely.
That's all anybody fucking
Gotta
cares
break
about.
that cycle, though. It doesn't work, and it
No.
doesn't work for long.
Nope.
It's a house of cards just waiting to fall.
Yeah, because how long do you bullshit the numbers until the numbers keep falling?
Well, what do you
And then you're
do
gonna
the
keep
next year
bullshitting
when
the
you've
numbers.
bullshitted and you haven't made any progress, and now you're supposed to be twice as far
Now you
as
gotta
what you
bullshit
actually
the
are?
bullshit
Right.
you already
The fuck are
bullshitted.
you going to do at that point?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happened. Supposed to be making so much progress every single year.
But you made negative progress, and then you made more negative progress on the negative progress you already made.
Right.
Just compounding.
When you could just be honest, and if you need more whatever, let them know.
Right.
This is what our struggles are. Guess what? Maybe somebody else is struggling with the same thing. Maybe you can help each other, or they had that struggle. Yes, we have to put our egos. That's going to be a
Did
continuous
you
theme.
ever not bullshit the paperwork? Or how many times did you bullshit it?
I very rarely had to.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
And
I can buy that.
That's no joke. Like, my department
Yeah.
was the lead department for that stuff. We rolled everything out. We rolled shit other people didn't want to out. We We made up our own rules for some of this stuff. We set the standard for the rest of the plant because we were the first to do it. That was part of the reason I wanted to do it. That's what I told my team. Guys, we know some of this stuff's not going to work. So let's make it work. And let's make it work for us.
Yeah.
If we get to it first, we can lock it in. Make everybody else use our standard. So that's what we did. So very rarely did I have to. I was the one going around helping everybody else bullshit.
Did you ever once have that conversation of,
Oh, yeah.
we're not going to bullshit because it's not going to fucking help us?
Yeah. I had that conversation with my team all the time.
Yeah.
But we didn't have to because
Right.
we
But with
we
other
wanted
people
it.
or your leadership at that level.
I talked to my leader about it. Like, why do we do this? It doesn't get us anywhere. We
Kinda
just
answer.
take our lumps.
What kind of answer did you get?
Bullshit. Politics.
It's just what they want, so let's give them
Yeah.
what they want.
Yep. Need to keep them off our back. And then they have their excuses. Well, we're really close here anyways, and this one's not that bad. And this one, we just had to do this and this, so it wasn't, we didn't really do that much. Okay. Sure.
We have that with runs once in a while.
I'll shut my mouth and go back to work now.
Yep.
You're right. That's why I couldn't do that.
Kudos to you.
That's why I couldn't do that shit anymore. It's all just a lie.
All just for numbers. Just to make people happy.
Mm-hmm. Businesses are interesting. Business numbers are very interesting. The politics in business numbers is very interesting.
Because at the end of the day, nobody knows what the fuck they're doing.
No, it's projections and all that other crap. It just,
They're just trying to figure it out as they go, and they're trying to make it look good while they do it. That's all any of us are trying to do.
yeah, pretty much. Fake it till you make it.
Beauty of it is you keep doing shit. You can keep making it and keep faking it and keep making it. Keep that process going.
Yep. And
Step.
and then look at how much experience you've gained. Until one point, you no longer need to fake it anymore.
Right.
You have made it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good feeling. Holy shit, I do know this.
Yeah.
Damn. Better than I thought. Yeah, that's all I have for that.
I think that's everything I had written down, all the questions. Yeah, so I hope we gave you guys some good insight into how to handle yourself if you get into a situation where you are out of your element, out of your comfort zone, don't know what to do, or if you encounter a situation where somebody else might seem like they don't know what they're doing. Hopefully we showed you how to recognize some of that. And yeah, gave you a few different of our own situations to help you understand a little bit better.
Or that you can, use to compare and apply to your own situation or situations you've encountered in the past.
If we missed anything or you guys have any other questions, please hit us up on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're at. We are. Hit us up, send us a question, DM us, whatever it might be.